The church smelled like old hymns and quiet judgment. The doors stood wide open, letting in a cold October wind that curled around every whisper inside. Elellanar Wade stood at the altar, wearing a borrowed wedding dress, 2 sizes too big. Lace was yellow with age, the sleeves loose on her arms, the skirt heavy and dragging at her ankles. Her hands shook around a bouquet of wilted prairie roses. She counted the floorboards between her and the exit. 12 steps, only 12. For a moment she wondered if she could run, but she could not. The pews were full. Every single person in Copper Ridge had come to watch this wedding. Some felt pity. Most felt judgment. All of them watched her like she was a show. Across from her stood Clayton Hartwell, 34, tall, broad shoulders, the richest rancher in 3 counties. He held his hat in his hands, staring straight ahead, his face unreadable. She had expected cruelty in his eyes the first time she looked at him that morning. Instead, she saw only stillness, like a man hiding storms under calm water. The minister's voice droned on, but Elellanar barely heard a word. Her father was not in the church. He could not bear to watch what his desperation had forced on her. The bank had threatened foreclosure. A stranger had offered to pay the debt in full if Elellanar married Clayton Hartwell. Her father had cried when he told her, then agreed. No one asked her what she wanted. When the minister finally spoke her name, her breath stuck in her chest. "Do you, Elellanar Wade, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband?" She could feel the whole room leaning in. "I do," she whispered, her voice cracking like thin ice under weight. Then the minister turned to Clayton. Everyone expected the usual words, but Clayton spoke different ones. "I will. Not I do. I will." A murmur rolled through the church like thunder. Elellanar felt her stomach twist. Clayton kept his eyes forward. He had not looked at her once since she walked down the aisle. "By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you man and wife." The words dropped heavy, like the slam of a jail door. Clayton finally turned to her and offered his arm. She stared at it. This man was now her husband, a stranger who owned her future with a single signature. Her hand hovered in the air for 4 heartbeats before she finally placed it on his arm. His grip was careful, not claiming, just steady. They walked down the aisle through a tunnel of staring eyes. Outside, the wind bit cold against her skin. Clayton helped her into the wagon with quiet movements. She flinched when his hand brushed her elbow, he noticed. He stepped back right away. "Name is Clayton," he said softly as he gathered the reins. "Reckon you know that already." She nodded without speaking. "You all right, Miss Wade?" "It is Mrs. Hartwell now," she whispered, the words feeling bitter on her tongue. Clayton did not answer for a moment. He simply clicked to the horses and started driving. "Only if you want it to be," he said at last. The town watched them leave in silence as the wagon rolled toward the foothills. At the end of the valley, the Hartwell Ranch rose like a giant shadow. A big timber house with stone foundations, wide porches, and windows reflecting the last gold of the day. Smoke curled from the chimney, warm and promising. The house was bigger than anything she had ever known, bigger than her entire childhood. Clayton helped her down from the wagon, but she stepped away from him instantly. "I will show you inside," he said. The front room held a stone fireplace, a handmade rug, and furniture polished smooth from years of care. The house smelled of wood, smoke, and coffee. "Kitchen is through there," Clayton said. "Pantry's full. You need anything, Silas goes to town Wednesdays." Silas, the ranch hand she had seen yesterday. Older man with kind eyes. Upstairs he led her to a room with a 4-poster bed and a quilt sewn in shades of blue and cream. A washstand waited in the corner. A window looked toward the mountains. On the inside of the door was a lock. "Use it if you need to," Clayton said. "I will not knock unless you ask me to. You understand?" "Yes," she said. "I will leave you to settle." He walked out, closed the door. She locked it right away, sat on the edge of the bed, looked at her hands. The house creaked softly. settling in the evening wind. Downstairs, Clayton ate alone with 2 plates on the table. He wrapped biscuits in a cloth that smelled faintly of lavender and placed them outside her door without knocking. Morning came gray. Elellanar found the biscuits and ate them alone. Honest food, warm enough to soften the edge of her fear. Downstairs she heard voices. "Town is talking, boss," Silas said. "Town can keep talking," Clayton answered, firm and cold. "They say you got yourself a pretty bargain." "She is not a bargain," Clayton said. "She is my wife." Elellanar pressed her palm against her door. That evening, fresh bread waited in the kitchen, still warm. 3 days passed. They moved around each other like ghosts. He never pushed, never asked, never claimed. And on the 4th morning, she finally walked downstairs and found Clayton at the kitchen table. Ledger open, coffee steaming. He looked up. "Morning," he said. For the first time, she sat across from him. Elellanar wrapped her hands around the warm cup of coffee, trying to steady the tremble in her fingers. Across the table, Clayton watched her with the quiet patience of a man who knew silence could speak louder than words. The air between them felt fragile, like a thin sheet of ice neither wanted to break. "Why?" she finally asked. Her voice shook. "Why did you agree to marry me?" Clayton set down his pen. He leaned back slightly, studying her with those steady eyes that revealed nothing too quickly. "A man named Garrett came to me 6 weeks ago," he said. "Told me he had a marriage contract, said it was good for both sides. Common enough out here. He said you were 19, from a decent family, fallen on hard times." Elellanar stared at the table. "And you said yes." "I said I would think on it." He paused. "I am alone here. House is too big for one man. Thought maybe it was time to have someone else in it. You did not know I had no choice." Her voice broke on the last word. Clayton looked truly shocked. His jaw tightened. "No," he said quietly. "I did not know that." She told him everything. The drought that ruined their crops. The bank threatening to take their land. Her father's debt piling so high it crushed every hope. Garrett offering an escape that still cost her everything. Her father crying when he told her. Crying but still telling her. Clayton listened without interrupting. When she finished, he breathed out slow. "I am sorry," he said. "I thought it was mutual, practical." When I saw your face at the altar, he paused, searching for the right words. I understood, too late. Elellanar lifted her eyes. "So you married me anyway." "I did, and I meant what I said. You are my wife, but that does not mean I own you." For the first time since she had stepped into his house, something inside her loosened, something small, something cautious. Before she could respond, a knock sounded at the door. Clayton stood and answered it. A young boy handed him an envelope. "From the Church Ladies' Committee," the boy said. Clayton thanked him and closed the door. When he read the letter, his jaw hardened. He tossed it straight into the fire. "What was that?" Elellanar asked. "An invitation. They want to throw a welcome reception for you. Sunday. Do we have to go?" "We are not going," Clayton said without hesitation. Elellanar opened her mouth to argue, but he met her eyes. Calm, firm, final. Something in that look made her stop. That night, for the first time, she left her bedroom door cracked open. Not wide, just enough for light to spill into the hall. Clayton paused when he saw it. He did not say anything. But the next morning there was fresh bread on the table again, warm, waiting. 2 weeks passed, slow at first, then steady. They found a rhythm without even meaning to. Clayton rose before dawn. Elellanar heard his boots cross the porch each morning. She learned to bake bread without burning it. She patched the tear in his shirt where the seam had split. They spoke a little more each day. Not much, but more. One clear morning, Clayton asked if she wanted to learn to ride. She hesitated, fear gripping her ribs. Then she nodded. He brought out a chestnut mare with soft eyes. Clementine. Gentle and calm. Clayton showed her how to hold the reins, how to sit, how to signal. His hands brushed hers only when needed, never lingering long enough to frighten her. When the mare shifted beneath her, warm and steady, Elellanar felt her breath lift. "You are doing fine," Clayton said. The horse nuzzled her shoulder, catching her by surprise. She laughed. A small laugh. A real one. Clayton smiled. Not big, but real too. On Wednesday, they went to town for supplies. Copper Ridge was watching the moment they stepped down from the wagon. Women whispered behind gloved hands. Men looked them over with knowing smirks. Clayton walked beside her like a silent wall. Protective. Unmoving. Inside the general store, Mrs. Hawkins weighed flour without meeting Elellanar's eyes. Outside, a drunk cowboy leaned on a post, grinning like he had already said something cruel in his head. "Well now," he drawled. "If it ain't the new Mrs. Hartwell. How's married life? That cowboy break you in gentle?" Elellanar stopped cold. Shame hit her chest like a fist. Before she could speak, Clayton stepped between them. Quiet. Slow. Dangerous. "You got something to say," Clayton said. "You say it to me." The cowboy tried to grin, but the edge of fear slid into his face. "Did not mean nothing by it," he muttered. "Then, do not say nothing," Clayton answered. He led Elellanar back to the wagon without another word. She sat stiff, staring at her hands. "I am sorry," she whispered. "For what? For this. The gossip. The laughing. The way they look at you. They can look all they want," Clayton said. "Does not change the truth." "What truth?" "That you are here. That you are safe. That is all that matters." Elellanar looked at him. Really looked. She saw the lines around his eyes, the quiet strength in his shoulders, the way he held the reins with steady hands no matter the storm. "Thank you," she whispered. Clayton nodded, eyes forward. That evening, Elellanar found him in the yard after sundown. She was planting bulbs again, small brown things she hoped would live. "What are those?" Clayton asked. "Tulips. For spring." "You think you will still be here come spring?" She looked at him. Felt the truth rise, gentle and sure. "Yes, I think I will." Something passed between them in that golden light. Something quiet. Something real. November came sharp and cold. Elellanar woke at night to find Clayton sitting on the porch with a photograph. A woman. Dark hair. Kind eyes. A bundle in her arms. "Mary," he said. "My wife. And our son. They died 5 years ago." Elellanar sat beside him. Not close, but near. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I am too." Grief lived in him, but not the kind that chained. The kind that shaped a man into someone gentle with the broken. "Do you still love her?" Elellanar asked. "Every day. But loving her does not mean I stop living." The cold drove them inside. They sat by the fire. Quiet. Close. For the first time, neither felt like a stranger. The next Sunday came too soon. Elellanar woke before dawn, heart heavy, stomach tense. Today was the church social, the one she had agreed to attend because she was tired of hiding. She dressed slowly, a clean blouse, a pressed skirt, boots brushed until they shone. Clayton waited downstairs, worry on his face. "You do not have to go," he said. "I know. But I need to. If they give you trouble, I will handle it." She almost smiled. "You cannot fight a whole town." He looked like he wanted to argue, but he stepped back. "I will be here when you get home." The church parlor smelled of tea and pride. Tables covered in gingham, pies lined up neatly, chairs arranged in circles. The women stood in small groups, smiling like they had secrets sharpened into weapons. Every voice dropped when Elellanar entered. Mrs. Dalton, the banker's wife, walked over first. "Mrs. Hartwell, how lovely you could join us." Thank you for inviting me." They all sat. They talked of weather and recipes and gossip. Then Mrs. Dalton leaned forward, eyes cold behind her smile. "So tell us, dear, how does it feel to be bought?" The room stilled. Elellanar froze. Another woman added with a cruel laugh, "At least Hartwell paid well. Your father got a good price, didn't he?" Elellanar stood so fast her chair scraped across the floor. "My father was desperate," she said. "Your husbands would have let us starve." Mrs. Dalton laughed softly. "We are only concerned." "No," Elellanar said. "You are cruel. That is different." She walked out without looking back. Not a single tear. Head high, back straight. She walked every mile home under the cold November sky. Clayton found her on the porch, hands shaking. "What happened?" She told him everything. Clayton did not yell. He did not pace. His face went still, not empty, but focused, controlled. "They will not speak to you like that again," he said. "You cannot control what they say." He stepped closer, took her hand. It startled her, but she did not pull away. "No," he said, "but I can make sure they hear me louder." "What are you going to do?" "Something I should have done from the start. Trust me." Elellanar nodded. Yes. That night she tried to sleep, but something heavy pressed on her heart. She sat on her bed with a packed bag at her feet and a letter on the table. "Dear Clayton, I am leaving. Not because of you, but because of me. I do not want to be the reason they turn on you. Thank you for your kindness." She folded it and placed it beside the lamp. She stared at the bag. Then at the open door she left open every night now. Something inside her cracked. Morning came gray and cold. She walked into the kitchen, bag in hand. Clayton stood by the table, the letter open in his hands. "You are free to go," he said. "You always were." Her eyes filled. "Then why do I feel trapped?" "By what?" he asked. "By this. By you being kind. By me wanting to stay and not knowing if I should." Clayton walked toward her, stopped a few feet away. "Why did you marry me?" she asked. "Not the excuse you gave. The truth." He took a long breath. "Because when I saw you at that altar, I thought maybe we could both stop being lonely. Maybe we could start something new. But you did not choose me." She swallowed hard. "And if I stay?" "Then we face them together. As equals. Not as a woman hiding and a man protecting. Together." The choice settled in her chest like warm light. She picked up the bag, unpacked it, crumpled the letter. "I choose you." Clayton exhaled, shoulders dropping. Relief washed through him. "Then let me do something for us," he said. "You will see Sunday." The week moved fast. Clayton rode to town twice, signed papers, met with officials. Elellanar asked no questions. Every time he said, "Trust me," she found she did. Sunday morning arrived bright and cold. Elellanar sat in the front pew, Clayton beside her. The whole town watched. Before the sermon, Clayton stood. "Reverend Hayes, with your permission, I would like to speak." The room hushed. "Most of you know how Elellanar came to me," Clayton said. "Some of you think I bought her." A ripple of whispers. "You are wrong." He held up a folded paper. "What I bought was her father's debt. What I gave Elellanar was a chance to stand on her own feet. Yesterday, I signed 200 acres of ranch land over to her. Gasps. Water rights. Full deed. In her name alone. She can leave any time she wants." He looked straight at Mrs. Dalton. "She is not property. She is my partner." Clayton sat, took Ellenar's hand. Elellanar stood next. Her knees trembled, but her voice did not. "I came here with nothing," she said. "Clayton gave me dignity, safety, choice. I stay because I want to. Because he is the best man I have ever known. She looked at him. And because I choose him. Silence hit hard. Then Mrs. Porter, the oldest woman in town, rose. I was wrong, she said, about both of you. I am sorry. Others nodded. Some looked ashamed, some did not. It did not matter. After the service, Clayton and Elellanar walked outside together. You gave me land, she whispered. I gave you freedom. She kissed his cheek. Thank you. Spring arrived early that year. Snow melted. Grass pushed through. The bulbs she planted in October bloomed bright and stubborn. Elellanar knelt in the garden with dirt under her nails, planting apple saplings that would not bear fruit for years. Clayton watched from the fence. Those will take a long time to grow, he said. Good, she smiled. I am not going anywhere. They planted the trees together, worked the soil, shared supper at the same side of the table, walked her land at sunset, the 200 acres that were hers. Truly hers. At the fence line, Clayton asked, Want me to take it down? Elellanar shook her head. No. It reminds me that I chose to cross it. Clayton looked at her, pride soft in his eyes. I am proud of you. She leaned into him. I am proud of us. They walked back to the warm house as the sky faded to gold. The porch light glowed. The door stood open like a welcome. Ready? Clayton asked. Yes, she said. I am. They stepped inside together. The frost melted early that year, and in the house where two strangers once stood silent, love finally found a home.